Welcome to Peralta Matters. I'm your host, Jay Calhoun. Over the past 5 years, the Peralta Colleges have sent a host of students and trustees to Washington, D.C. for the Congressional Black Caucus annual conference. Our guests this episode are here to give their firsthand account of the visit. So, sit back, relax, and let's get into what matters here at Peralta.
I'm Congresswoman Barbara Lee. Join me in watching Peralta TV.
Welcome back to Peralta Matters. I'm your host, Jay Calhoun. We are now joined by Peralta Colleges Peer Advisor Yvonne Thompson. How are you, sir?
Fine, and you?
Good. I can't complain, can't complain.
Great.
Happy to have you on the show, first of all.
I'm happy to be here. I'm really honored to be here.
Good, good.
Yeah.
We have been talking off camera and basically getting to understand a little bit more about the trip to the CBC every year that you all take. Before we get involved in that, let me first discuss what I think is important is a little bit of your trip, your story, your background into not only the CBC trip, but your Peralta story. I think it's important. Former student trustee, former student, obviously, and definitely a name that we hear a lot.
Oh my.
In a good way, in a good way.
So,
So tell us a little bit about your background and how you got here.
Okay, how did I get here? My son is a 2003 graduate of Laney College.
Excellent.
And he was saying, Mom, you need to go back to school. And I'm like, no, I'm too old. And he said, Mom, you are a life learner. You're never too old. You're always learning and teaching people something.
Right.
So you need to go back and do something for yourself. So the year after he graduated, I love to cook, and it's my passion.
Okay.
I've fed the district.
On many occasions. I've had the chicken, I ain't no front.
And so I came to the culinary class because food is my passion.
Okay.
And I had heard about Laney's culinary program. So I came in, and in fact, a lot of people saw me in the admissions and records office asking me, what are you doing here? I said, signing up for classes for culinary. They said, you should be teaching.
Teaching the class.
And I said, no, I want to learn. I want to make sure that so I entered the class in 2004 and kept quiet. And, and in 2005, I was invited by Marlene Hurd, who is a former student trustee and then president of the ASLC, Melvin Haywood, and they asked me if I would join the Senate, the ASLC. And I said, sure. So I became involved, not only in, of course, my culinary stuff, but also in the student life here, especially at Laney. And I came in as a senator. The next thing I know, I was running for secretary, then president, and then two-term student trustee. I thought I was out of it until they asked me up at Berkeley City College, could I come in and be president there? And I ran for office. Excellent. And the rest is it.
Do you feel that your experience led you to a different understanding entering these positions of quote-unquote, power or presidency or positions of authority?
It gave me a look at servitude of being a servant. I often tell students coming into student government that the only power that you have is the power that the students give you to speak on their behalf, to act on their behalf. As well as the administration, the staff, and the faculty. Coming into these positions, they're not of authority.
There you go.
There's only one authority.
There you go.
And that's the highest authority.
That's right.
And that's who I
answer to, right?
That's who I answer to. It's not Hebrew National.
Yeah. Excellent. When did you decide, or when did you get seriously involved in the CBC trips and how they all have come together in the past 5 years?
The first time I attended was 2007.
Okay.
It was, I was president of the AS at that time,
Mm-hmm.
just entered office, and then student trustee Marlene Hurd came to me and told me about the trip and asked me to pick students from the AS or from Laney. So what I did was I, of course, looked at the students on the AS first, and I felt that this was a trip that I needed to go to see exactly what took place and what was going on. And so I went and I found another student from the AS and then 2 other students from the general student population at Laney. And I chose a first-year high school student and then another lady, a late student, George, who was a phenomenal person on the campus of Laney. So we went that year, and things were kind of, it was fun. It wasn't organized.
Right.
It was fun. Yeah. But what we got out of that, and that was the year Axel went.
Okay, Axel Kondo, right.
Axel Kondo, who was Chancellor's Award Trophy winner, district-wide, from the Ivory Coast, one of our success stories.
Yes.
He went along with several other students, but Trustee Handy got them in a room, one of the rooms that the Congress meets in to caucus or whatever they do, and she had them to get behind the podium and raise their hands up like they were giving a speech to Congress, fighting for a bill.
There we go.
And I believe she still has those pictures from 2007.
Wow.
They are somewhere. And so after that, I saw Axel's life even just, and a lot of the other students that went. And for myself, it opened up my eyes.
There you go. That's the next question I was going to ask is what is the exact, or not the exact, because I'm sure there are a myriad of them, but what would you say is the highlight benefit from not only you as a student going, but what you see in your your counterparts, your colleagues going with you? What do you actually see the benefit once you return from seeing a CBC in action from a Wednesday to Saturday? What are you coming back with? What do you feel?
You're coming back armed. You're coming back armed with information, with new skills.
There you go.
You're coming back armed with so much to bring back to your community, to not only better yourself, but the lives of your campus, your family.
There you go.
It's the person.
Okay.
And I try to prepare each person when they go to be aware, to keep your eyes open, to keep your ears open, even your nose.
Right.
Because you're in a place where you have all types of cultures. You have all types of things going on, because the CBC, they not only have symposiums and conferences and brain trusts and networks, you find the exhibition hall is filled with things from all over the world.
Right on. At the conference?
At the conference.
Right on.
It's at the DC Convention Center.
Okay.
And that thing is blocks, long.
Yeah.
And then the other things that go on, being able to go into the Library of Congress, being able to walk through the halls of Congress,
Right.
to sit in the gallery and listen to bills and motions being passed and moved and so on.
Right.
For our student government, this is important.
Exactly.
Because it's showing them civics.
101 live in person. Yeah.
Okay?
Yeah.
It's also showing you how to work with someone that you don't like. Because it's easy to work with somebody that you do
That's
like.
true. That's very true.
And you see them on one side. You see them on sides. And when they come to the middle of the aisle, you're able to see this. So you learn so much.
So much, yeah. I'm learning a lot just talking to you, and I wish we had more time to talk more about this. Yvonne, I want to thank you for coming on the show. It's been a pleasure, and I think we should probably have a part 2 so we can discuss some of the other benefits that come from it, and the initiatives that you're putting out to keep this an institutionalized effort.
Yes, yeah.
So again, thank you for coming on the show.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Yeah.
All right. We'll be right back in a minute with Peralta Matters.
turn the guitars down. It's time to sculpt the sound. Volume's too high. He is not horsing around. Turn the guitars down. It is the classic standoff. We like to play at 11. You like to turn us off. Turn the guitars down.
Welcome back to Peralta Matters. I'm your host, Jay Calhoun. We are now joined by longtime Peralta friend and trustee, Linda Handy. How are you, trustee?
I'm great.
Excellent.
Yourself?
Can't complain. Pleasure to have you on our show.
Well, thank you. It's
Great.
a pleasure to be here.
We are talking about the trip that the Peralta College students take to the CBC. And before we get too far involved in the intricacies of it, I want to know first and foremost why you do it.
Wow. It goes back to my beginnings as a trustee. I went to the caucus myself. I think there was another trustee there. But as I experienced all of these things and the wonder of all of these political leaders going by, I saw young children from the local schools in there. I thought, wow, why aren't the students here? You know, this is where the students really need to be here. And so the next year, I started working with student trustees, and we brought two, I believe it was a male and a female. And after that, we brought student trustees again, and then we had student trustees who were interested in helping us to expand this. And with the help of student trustee Yvonne Thompson, we actually brought the number up to 18 one year. That was incredible. And then years after that, because of funding, we weren't able to bring students, and people that I didn't know, different companies, Safeways and others, we said, well, where are your students? And they said, we never saw you walking without students trailing behind you. And I had to tell them, I said, you know, to be honest, the caucus is amazing, but without the students and seeing it through their eyes, it's not the same. It's not the same, and I don't enjoy it as much. So again, this year, we were able to bring students again, and I enjoyed every bit of it.
Every bit of it.
Yes.
You just spoke about, you know, the year progression of how you took students and how you did that. So in taking students, we're talking air, room, food, travel, every day. So how are you doing all of this?
We raise the money. We raise the money. Some of the presidents here will say, oh, you know, if she calls, she has no problem extorting money. I said, you know, if it's for a student, I will go to the mat.
Well, before, to cut you off, Yvonne Thompson said she lines them up and you knock them down. Is that accurate?
I remember President Chong calling. He said, really? How much do you want? I said, well, since you're asking, I'm going to tell you. And he says, wow, that's a lot. I says, yeah, but remember, I'm a board member. I know how much you make. but all joking aside, the presidents have been amazing. Okay. And there's also been opportunities where we combine the MAP program, where our young men were actually presenters. So we had the colleges working together to help bring funding. I have dedicated a certain amount from my my stipend as trustee from year one, and now I have that designated to help one student to go to the caucus.
Excellent.
And it's not just the Congressional Black Caucus. I believe that we need to institutionalize that so that all students have an opportunity, whatever their culture, whatever their nationality, to engage with their leadership and policymakers, so that they, one, these people need to hear from them, but two, also know this is the learning environment, that door is open for them too.
Right. You discussed a little bit about institutionalizing it, and I didn't get a chance to get into it with Yvonne because that's something she stipulated or talked about. Why is that important to get it?
Well, it's important because then it's saying we know that we are going to go to this caucus, we're going to send students here, we're going to send students wherever. We also then will have formal, more formal ways of raising the funds. Vendors with the organization, members of the foundation, they've all been generous in giving what they could. But I believe that if we institutionalize it, if we put our stamp on it, as this is something that we believe is important for potential student leaders, that it will go a lot smoother. And I have to say, we were the only community college that were bringing students to the caucus from what I've heard from other people.
Right.
But this year when we got there, San Francisco City College had joined us.
Huh.
And now I understand that Contra Costa College wants to join us. Well, I think that the more the merrier, and if we institutionalize it and we have our processes set, it's actually cheaper for us in terms of getting airfare in advance, booking, group rates.
Right.
And also, we've set the curriculum, we've set the guidelines for the students now, because they are students.
Right.
So we have dress codes, we have behavioral codes, we have expectations of what you'll learn, we have expectations of how you'll conduct yourself when you are in Rayburn House, if you are sitting at the constituent breakfast for Congresswoman Barbara Lee. We make sure that our students understand that no matter what, at all times, they are representing this district and they're representing their Congresswoman at this event.
Right on.
So the guidelines and the protocols have been set. So if we can institutionalize it, I think it will just benefit. And if we can send more students, then so be it.
That's the best thing. Talking about students, and I mean, you've kind of already answered this question, but give me perhaps maybe an example or a few examples of who benefits from the trip to the CBC that Peralta Colleges take.
Okay. We have had students international students who have attended, who it was their first experience going out. We've had students who were more mature, who were mature enough to understand who Benjamin Bernanke was, and when they saw him, pulled him aside and spoke to him. We've had students who are mothers, who are just coming back to school, had never been anywhere before, but from now on, their children, her children will say, my mother went to Washington, here's a picture of her with this congressperson, with this representative, with Al Sharpton. And they will believe that the world is something that they are a part of too. So we've had students, one young man always sticks in my mind. This young man had a challenging lifestyle that had landed him in trouble. And Miss Thompson spent a long time working to get this man permission to leave the area.
Molly.
Yes, and this young man brought so much, his humility, his humbleness, brought so much to the group. But he came back. He was a keynote speaker for the graduation for his college, and was the last that I spoke with him. He was at the Haas School of Business.
Wow.
And many of our students have gone on to Cal, but that's not the intent. But it seems that once you expose students to more, if they haven't seen it, they don't believe they can be a part of it. But once you've exposed to it, if they perceive it, they can achieve it. So whatever their intentions are, I think that their lives are better for the experience that they've had.
Well, I know we as a college and the board as in general is better for what you brought, and I continually thank you for allowing these students an opportunity to see something more than what they've already seen here at the colleges, which they see a lot of. But you can't get that wealth of experience just by a book or by talking about it or by an image. You got to go.
But I have to be honest. I think I get more out of it than the students because seeing this through their eyes is an incredible gift.
Thank you again.
Thank you.
All right. I want to thank Trustee Linda Handy for coming in and talking about this. We'll be right back in a few minutes with Peralta Matters.
No matter what you've done in the past, you can start fresh from this point and successfully advance into the future. The professors and counselors at Laney College helped me aim high and stay focused on my goals. I am Jamila Akua Williams, and Laney works for me. Where did that come from?
Welcome back to Peralta Matters. I am your host, Jay Calhoun. We are now joined by Anya Reames, Berkeley City College student. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Welcome to the show.
Thank you so much.
Thanks for coming on. We are talking about the Peralta College's trip to Washington, D.C. for the Congressional Black Caucus. First of all, as a student, give me an understanding as to why you would want to go to a trip to D.C. for the Black Caucus.
Well, personally, I find that It was very inspirational and very informative, and since this is an election year, any information is very crucial. There's so much to catch up on, and the issues that they talked about were really pertain to a lot of the people that live around here, and I think it's always good to know as much as you can so you can spread it in any way possible, even by word of mouth.
Right, right. What would you say were maybe some expectations or ideas going into it that may have been changed or confirmed by going?
I had quite a few of very imaginative ideas of what it could be like. I wasn't sure at all. I've never been to Washington, D.C., nor a conference like that. And I found it to be so much more than I had ever expected. I found that everyone's passion and everyone's knowledge was really fantastic. Everyone was really nice, and I like the atmosphere and how people, my companions on the trip made a joke how by the time we're going to get through this trip, we won't be talking about politics anymore because it's constant. But it's a really good thing that in Washington, D.C. and at this conference, people want to talk about politics. People want to talk about the issues, and they want to change the problems that may arise in our communities.
Do you feel like, or did you have any precursor, or like, you know, I'm going to ask these specific questions, I'm going to find out this specific answer?
Not so much. I was just here with a very open mind to learn as much as I could.
Good. What was the process in getting there? We've had Yvonne Thompson on and Trustee Linda Handy, and they were kind of talking about selecting students and the various situations it's gone through over the past 5 years. How did it reflect, or how did it affect you as a student first time coming in? Was it a long process? Did you have to fill out a bunch of applications?
Well, what they're looking for is leadership students, students who are showing leadership or potential leadership, because the information is going to be spread by people who want to spread it.
Right.
So I had originally done the Fulbright program.
Okay,
I was
excellent.
a leader there, and that's how I got to know one of the members of the Black Caucus. And she referred me to it, and thus I wrote an essay and about how I am a leader in the community and how the conference is going to benefit me as well as the community via me.
Right, right. That's a good one.
Yeah.
That's a good one. If you knew going into it as a leader, you know, that you would have this experience, being on the hall of or being in the site of a congressional situation, being in a room where decisions are made and laws are passed, and being in the presence of all of these quote-unquote historical and non-historical figures, if you knew that going into it, would you have done it earlier, or would you have found another way to figure out your way to it, or was this the right time for the right person at the right moment?
I definitely think this was the right time in my life. Because I do have experience with leadership and more with politics at the moment. Earlier on, I don't think I would have appreciated it as much as I do now. Maturity does come with age.
That's a good one. Do you think that the preparation going, the student trustees, the involvement you had with the students going, helped kind of shape your understanding of, one, what you were there for, and two, kind of what you get when you leave?
Yeah, definitely. I think that multiple perspectives really enhance an experience. And so I wasn't just seeing it through my eyes, I was seeing it from individuals from different backgrounds. And, you know, that communication, that sharing of our thoughts really did expand the experience, and I'm really grateful.
Right on.
It wasn't just me.
Right, it was just you. If you have anything, or if you like to expound on it, what would you say were, informationally speaking, some of the things you came back with that you didn't know going in?
I'm glad you asked that question, actually. The factor that I found was most talked about was, one, voting, how people need to vote, how it's so important and imperative that people vote, because it does influence us, and it does influence the laws that are passed.
But now, I mean, come on, I'm Joe Schmo, I make no laws, I know nobody important, I'm not doing anything of any real major value. Why is it important for me to vote? Why is it so serious?
It is important for you because it doesn't just affect you. it affects the people around you, and
Right
it
on.
affects your community. If you hear someone complaining about a situation, often it can be tied to a vote. And if everyone has the same mindset of I don't need to vote, then nobody will vote.
Right.
But if everyone has the mindset of I need to vote, like in Venezuela, people will make parties and will wait in line at 6 a.m. to go vote, and the voting machines are everywhere in the mountains, everywhere.
Wow.
People need to vote more here, and that's another thing. One of the voting issues that was talked about in great detail was the new voting right laws. Yeah.
Naturally speaking.
I heard two prevalent opinions on those. One, that it is in fact racist or classist, and the other that no, it's not. It's just a way to prevent fraud in the voting arena. I don't know whether or not it was made as a classist or racist issue, but I do believe that it has is causing problems, and that people need to vote to prevent these sort of things.
Right.
To prevent the inability to vote by some people. So.
Specifically speaking, or maybe if you can sum it up, what did Anya get from going to the 2012 Peralta Colleges Congressional Black Caucus visit?
What did Anya get
Yes.
from the visit? I think she gained a lot more knowledge and quite a few different views about things. I think people grow from learning about other people's views.
Definitely.
You know, we're not just compromised of ourselves, we're compromised of everyone who touches us.
Well
so
said. Yeah.
I think I've changed from it. I think I've learned quite a bit from it, and I'm really happy that I went.
Outstanding. Well, to future political leader Anya Reames, thank you for coming on the show. It's been a
Thank you for
pleasure and
having
experience.
me.
Oh, our job, our job. We'll be right back with Peralta Matters.
I'm a veteran, and I was looking into some of the trades. Signing up for classes at College Alameda was really easy because you have the online stuff, and then the administration building was really helpful. The VA department, speaking with the dean, it was really easy to just get all the paperwork done and get going in the class. It's an easy transition from the military and Iraq to coming into here.
Welcome back to Peralta Matters. I want to thank today's guests for coming on and sharing their Washington, D.C. experiences with us. Until the next episode, please do something that matters.
Peralta TV, programs that matter.